Hi, today we're going to be working on constructing perpendicular lines and parallel lines. We're going to do rectangles tomorrow. So this first one, it says let's construct perpendicular lines using a ruler and compass. You can also use a protractor. Both ways are shown here in this video. So before we construct a perpendicular line, you should probably know what it is. A perpendicular line is a 90-degree angle from the original line. So you draw a line that's 90 degrees from the original line. So like a corner of a square or a rectangle. So if we're to do this with a protractor, we are going to line that little T up with the line that exists in the center of that circle. Then you're going to mark where your 90 degrees is. Use your straight edge and strike your line. To indicate 90 degrees, you put a little square in the corner, and that always means 90 degrees. Now, with your compass, you're going to need to extend this line a bit. And both ways are acceptable, and I want you to try both ways, but once you get into it, whichever method you're more comfortable with is fine by me. So, with this, we are going to go ahead and draw some little arcs that are the same length. It doesn't matter how long they are, just don't make them too short. So draw arcs on both sides of that dot. Now, we need to look at how wide is this line. So we're going to go from one point on the line to the other point where those arcs are. Now I know the length of the line. I need to keep my compass that way, and if it wiggles, remember, ask for a new one. So we're going to strike an arc from this point, and we're going to strike an arc from this point. At this point, we are going to draw a line from the dot up through where the two cross. And that should be 90 degrees at this point. You can always check to be sure. And that looks pretty good. So perpendicular lines must be, what did we say? 90 degrees from each other. So make sure you fill that in. Now, to make parallel lines, you're going to use your ruler and protractor, but you can also use your compass. Now, parallel lines are lines that are equal distances apart. They never get any closer. Think of them as railroad tracks. They never get any closer to each other, and they continue on forever at the same distance from each other. No matter what, even if they turn, they're still equal distances apart. So, the first thing that we're going to do, we need to mark a point on here if we're going to use our protractor. So, we said that they're equal distances apart. So, we need a 90-degree line from here so that we know where we're going with this. Now that we have our perpendicular line, we can make another perpendicular line. So make sure that you're putting your dots about where I am so that you're not in some crazy place out in the middle of nowhere. So from here, we're going to go 90 degrees again, which is going to make these and this parallel to each other. So if we have all these 90-degree angles, we're going to create nice little parallel lines. Draw our line between, and look, it looks like a nice little H when you look at it sideways. So those both have 90 degrees, which means they're parallel. And we indicate parallel lines by putting little arrows on them showing that they're going the same direction, equal distances apart. Now, using your compass, if you start with a little dot somewhere out here, let's go ahead and put it here. If that's the case, then if you have this point, we'll call it point P, because point starts with P. We are going to draw some arcs from point P through this line that we already have. Now, we're going to go ahead and make our perpendicular. Remember, making the perpendicular, we need to find equal distances that they are apart. And now we can strike an arc. Strike an arc. Now we know where our perpendicular is. They're very close to each other. Okay, now that we have our perpendicular, we need to make another perpendicular from this line. So this one should probably be extended because we're going to have to do the same thing. So we need to be able to strike an arc going the other direction. So, same thing, if I strike an arc over here, keeping the compass the same distance apart. Now, I have to measure the distance that they are from each other. So here and here. Now that I have that, strike an arc this way, strike an arc that way. Ooh, I just got it on my page. So I go from my point that everything originated from, and I draw my line both directions. And I can indicate that they're parallel again by putting my little symbols on. Now I have two different sets of parallel lines done with two different sets of tools. All right, your turn. Get busy, have fun.